and welcome to our usual Tuesday Healthy Heart sessions, our culturally tailored nutrition and lifestyle education. Today, we have a topic that is quite different. It is very familiar, but quite different. The reason why I say it's a very familiar topic is because, if you've been joining our sessions, Dr. Ojwang, Alice Ojwang, who is one of our dietitians, has a particular saying, which I love. She's always like, genes load the guns, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. That is something that I have also adopted in my talks. And I think today's talk is going to focus on this. Why does she keep saying genes load the guns and lifestyle pulls the trigger? Now, there's a lot of research evidence to talk about, the way genes and, the environment can impact on our health and diseases. It's a field known as epigenetics. I'm not too much of an expert in this area, so I think I should stop talking now. Today, we have our own dietitian, Dr. Alice Ojwang, to take us through this topic. We call it epigenetics, and we are saying diet and gene expressions. She might have a different topic, which is still fine, but it's going to be around this. And so please feel free to join us wherever you are, Facebook, YouTube. There are some people on Facebook who keep asking us, how can they join our sessions? Yes, please do send an email to Shekinah. Is going to put that email address on the Facebook page now because people have been asking this question a lot. Send an email to that email address, health@can.org.uk. So health@can.org.uk. And we will send the registration link to you so you can have access to the Zoom link. Okay. All the same, please do join in, even if it's on Facebook or YouTube. Send us your questions, ask questions as we go along, and we'll try our best to address these questions for you. So without much ado, I'm going to invite Dr. Alice Ojwang to take us through today's session.
Okay.
Dr. Ojwang, over to you.
Thank you. It's nice to be back again. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can. Yes, and we miss you on the sessions here.
Yeah, I'm back in a big bang now. You'll be seeing me at least every month with some interesting stuff.
Yeah,
maybe the next one will be microbiome,
Oh,
so
good.
Today we are talking about epigenetics. And a lot of people wonder, what is this? It sounds like a really big word, but really epigenetics is an emerging area of science that shows how environmental influences our genes, because in the olden days, they used to say that your genes are cast in stone. All of us have genetical features, like we look like our parents, we walk like our dad, we look like so-and-so. Somebody sees you look like your auntie. However, those are there. The looks are there. They might stay. Those are physical features. But now when it comes to expression, how the gene expresses itself. So you may have had the gene for obesity, but your environment can change it so that you actually do not become obese. Or you might have had a gene that you're supposed to be lean, but because of your diet or the environment, you are going to, this gene it's going to express differently. So you're going to be obese. So this is what we are going to talk about today. So it's really just how, in short, how does your environment influence your gene? A lot of studies have been done in children, and especially, they've studied infants and children, but also a lot of studies have been done in rats. And also epigenetics uses history to show, actually, they trace back things that happened in some countries, in different areas where there was starvation, and even people who went into these concentration camps, and they show how, how even children react to their environment, how they can affect it, even things like sleep. If in fact, I'm reading a very interesting book called, it's about sleep science, and it shows that if you always interrupt children from sleep, actually it prevents development of their brain. So that's just environment. What are you doing? So there's so many things we do that actually affects our gene. So this is what you're going to discuss today. And to get started, let me just share with you, let me share a short video just so that you can hear it from the professionals. And then we will now break it down into really how does diet affect your genes. So allow me to share this. Just a second. Just oh, sorry. Oh no.
Right, is it not playing?
No, I open it, but when I open Zoom, then I can't see it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Here's a conundrum. Identical twins originate from the same DNA, so how can they turn out so different, even in traits that have a significant genetic component? For instance, why might one twin get heart disease at 55 while her sister runs marathons in perfect health? Nature versus nurture has a lot to do with it, but a deeper related answer can be found within something called epigenetics. That's the study of how DNA interacts with the multitude of smaller molecules found within cells, which can activate and deactivate genes. If you think of DNA as a recipe book, those molecules are largely what determine what gets cooked when. They aren't making any conscious choices themselves. Rather, their presence and concentration within cells makes the difference. So how does that work? Genes in DNA are expressed when they're read and transcribed into RNA, which is translated into proteins by structures called ribosomes. And proteins are much of what determines a cell's characteristics and function. Epigenetic changes can boost or interfere with the transcription of specific genes. The most common way interference happens is that DNA, or the proteins it's wrapped around, gets labeled with small chemical tags. The set of all of the chemical tags that are attached to the genome of a given cell is called the epigenome. Some of these, like a methyl group, inhibit gene expression by derailing the cellular transcription machinery or causing the DNA to coil more tightly, making it inaccessible. The gene is still there, but it's silent. Boosting transcription is essentially the opposite. Some chemical tags will unwind the DNA, making it easier to transcribe, which ramps up production of the associated protein. Epigenetic changes can survive cell division, which means that they could affect an organism for its entire life. Sometimes that's a good thing. Epigenetic changes are part of normal development. The cells in an embryo start with one master genome. As the cells divide, some genes are activated and others inhibited. Over time, through this epigenetic reprogramming, some cells develop into heart cells and others into liver cells. Each of the approximately 200 cell types in your body has essentially the same genome, but its own distinct epigenome. The epigenome also mediates a lifelong dialogue between genes and the environment. The chemical tags that turn genes on and off can be influenced by factors including diet, chemical exposure, and medication. The resulting epigenetic changes can eventually lead to disease if, for example, they turn off a gene that makes a tumor-suppressing protein. Environmentally induced epigenetic changes are part of the reason why genetically identical twins can grow up to have very different lives. As twins get older, their epigenomes diverge, affecting the way they age and their susceptibility to disease. Even social experiences can cause epigenetic changes. In one famous experiment, when mother rats weren't attentive enough to their pups, genes in the babies that help them manage stress were methylated and turned off. It might not stop with maturation. Most epigenetic marks are erased when sperm cells are formed. But now, survive.
Can't hear properly.
What happened?
You can't hear it.
Yeah, we can't hear you properly anymore.
own epigenome. But even though epigenetic changes are sticky, they're not necessarily stress, were methylated and turned off.
Yeah.
And it might not stop with that generation. Most epigenetic marks are erased when egg and sperm cells are formed. But now, researchers think that some of those imprints survive, passing those epigenetic traits on to the next generation. Your mother's or your father's experiences as a child or choices as adults could actually shape your own epigenome. But even though epigenetic changes are sticky, they're not necessarily permanent. A balanced lifestyle that includes a healthy diet, exercise, and avoiding exposure to contaminants may, in the long run, create a healthy epigenome. It's an exciting time to be studying this. Scientists are just beginning to understand how epigenetics could explain mechanisms of human development and aging, as well as the origins of cancer, heart disease, mental illness, addiction, and many other conditions. Meanwhile, new genome editing techniques are making it much easier to identify which epigenetic changes really matter for health and disease. Once we understand how our epigenome influences us, we might be able to influence it too.
Okay, it was a bit complex, but
It was.
that's the easiest I could actually get. But this is just to really get people thinking, eh? Yeah.
Okay. So now
so
I'm going to say, can you speak English to us now? Because I think that was a bit a bit complex for us. So
Scientific.
yeah. Yeah. Let me just speak English now. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me just share my slides. But it's nothing serious actually. So it's just it's back to lifestyle really. It's just that now we're using complex language. Yeah. What happens to this computer of mine? Sorry, today is one of those days. Just getting my slides. I don't want to keep silent. So what do you think about your genes? Do you see where it comes from? Genes load the gun and lifestyle puts the trigger?
A bit.
Eh? A bit, eh?
A bit, yes.
Yeah, anyway, so I'll try as much as possible to explain in simple language. So is DNA your destiny? All right. Like maybe I said earlier, for a long time, people think that you have been, your DNA is cast in stone. You are born, your family, they're diabetic, they're hypertensive, they get cancers. You are so sure that that is going to be your life. You're going to get diabetes, you're going to get hypertension, you're going to get heart disease, okay? If families were chronically ill, or they were alcoholics, or they have mental health issue, then people actually believe that is how you're going to end up. But what the study of epigenetics is showing us, that you can influence your genes, and you can influence them either positively or negatively. If we go back to the twin studies have actually been used a lot in science to show even like obesity is genetics, because like studies have been done on different twins, where you have different twins live in the same environment, different twin sets living in the same environment. They're given so much calories to take, and they find that certain twins who come from the same family, they will actually tend to have the same kind of weight. But this is also because they're eating the same things. But when these twins are separated and they live in different environments, and they're exposed to different things, like maybe some is eating healthy and some not eating healthy, then actually they are no longer the same. One can stay very slim and the other one can become obese. One can get cancer, the other one will not get cancer. So it just shows that what you eat, what your environment exposes you to, is what is actually determining your destiny. So in other words, we all have our genome. Now with the epigenetics and the environment, that is now what makes you. So in other words, you choose your future, you know. So when you take food, or when you take food or your environment is exposed, you expose your DNA to environment and certain foods, it can actually switch, or it switches your genes on and off, like we have seen in the video. I couldn't have explained it better. So your genes have got expressions, meaning there are immune boosters, you have cancer preventer. I was just using simple language. You have something that will make you never get diabetes, or you have a cholesterol control gene, for example. But then, because of your diet, because of your exercise, because of your thought processes, it can switch off the immune boosters, so that your immune is always very, very low. It can switch off the gene that will prevent you from getting cancer, so that you are exposed to cancer. It can switch off the genes that are supposed to prevent you from getting chronic disease, and then you're exposed to chronic disease. And it can switch off the genes that are supposed to help you control your cholesterol or control heart problem, and so you can get it. And it's like studies have shown, it is not permanent. Okay, so you can actually switch them back on. So if you had switched off your immune booster, your cancer preventer, diabetes control, cholesterol control, and you go back to having a healthy environment, healthy lifestyle, then you can switch them on. You can improve your immune system, you can prevent cancer, diabetes, and all these things. So this is what it does. This is what your environment, this is how your environment affects your genes. So up to that point, do you understand? Is it understandable, Dr. Osei-Kwasi?
It is to me. Let me check the page and see if we can get some thumbs up. That explanation was clear to me. Are we all on the same page with Alice's explanation? Yes, I have 2 thumbs up, maybe 2 more, and then we can go on. Or if anybody thinks that, oh, you have lots of thumbs up. Is there anyone who thinks that he or she is still not clear with this first explanation? The switching off of immune boosters. It was really good. And if anybody thinks that Alice should go over it in just 2 more minutes, we can do that. Martha, yes, as in should she go over it, or you are happy with it? Because I think this is a very important topic.
But you have to get it from here.
Sorry?
I understand what you're saying.
Right. Then I think we have lots of yeses, Alice. We have lots of yeses. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So now we've seen how you can switch off and on your DNA because of what you're consuming, because of what your environment tells. Okay. So in other words, just to summarize, it is every mouthful, every food that you eat is going to make a difference. It's either going to switch it on or switch it off. Okay, meaning it's either going to improve your DNA, and if it had a healthy expression, it will continue to express that healthy profile, or if it did not have a healthy expression, then you can change it to worse. And then, of course, what has also been actually studied a lot is people's thought processes. Okay, they have shown that, for example, they looked at people who are in concentration camps during war, and what they found that families that came from people who survived the Holocaust and went back home, and they had families, their families could not actually manage to deal with stress. You know, they just couldn't handle stress. Because you can imagine the situation in which these people were in the Holocaust. It was always scary, you know, the fear of dying and things like that. So this has also been really thought about. And of course, it's your environment. So if you have if you grow up in a family Sorry, I have to find myself. I don't hope it's not interfering with the sound. So if somebody is exposed to abusive parents, and that's what they're always seeing, that actually can change their gene expressions. So gene expressions will not only be changed by what you eat, it is also changed by what goes through your mind, your thought processes. And this is what has actually really been studied in children to show that children respond very quickly to environmental changes. So if there's always something that's disturbing their peace, they can't sleep, it disturbs their emotion, then they will grow up to be very withdrawn and things like that. And then, of course, also your exercise, which is something that affects our lifestyle very much. Also, your exercise will change your gene expressions. So when you move and you move, it helps it to express healthy gene profiles. And if you don't exercise and you sit, then it's a problem. And we can just discuss that more often. So what happens? There are two areas that epigenetics actually impacts, okay? So like we said, your food, your environment, excuse me, your environment, which is your food, your social interactions. Are you always indoor? Because when you sit indoors, there's lack of oxygen. Or are you always outdoor? Which means it's outdoor is always better. Then on the other side, your lifestyle, increase your fitness, your career. What do you do for living? Because that is constant exposure to your health and your genes. And your thought processes. Sorry about that. Excuse me. And of course, sleep, circadian rhythm, which I think we've talked about very much. And then your mind, your thought processes, like we have shown. So this is epigenetic modulation. So we've mentioned a few things, but so many things affect your genes and can switch it off or switch it on. Switch it off for the worst and switch it on for the better. So we've said diet, you've said exercise, and we've also said disease exposure. Like for example, COVID. COVID has done a lot of havoc. One doctor explained that it was like an earthquake. When an earthquake comes, then you just start finding out, oh, you mean this was destroyed? You mean this was this, this was this. So I was talking to another doctor who says right now they're getting people who got COVID, another particular strain of COVID, they're having blood clotting issues. So their blood is always clotting. And so he was referring a patient to me and says, I want you to just monitor this patient, change their lifestyle the way you want, so that we can get rid of this problem. Because they keep getting, every time they do a test called INR, it's really, really high, meaning the blood is very thick, So, and they're put on medication. The minute they stop, then it goes back to that. So it means like there's been a change of their gene expression, because suddenly they were fine and now they're having clotting problems, and it's constant. So even so, exposure to disease can also change your DNA. And then of course, exposure to toxic chemicals, and toxic chemicals that can be found, of course, in the air, and also toxic chemicals when it comes to food, because some of these chemicals in food are really dangerous. For example, when you process foods, processed foods, maybe they have too much salt, monosodium glutamate, they have sulfite, and if you constantly eat that is toxic chemical. It's going to change your DNA. It's going to change how your DNA is expressing. It's probably going to put off a lot of your genes that are protective towards cancer and towards, good skin and good health and good eyes and things like that. And then, of course, drug abuse, because you're constantly taking drugs, you're abusing drugs. And let's just say, it changes gene expressions totally. And maybe toxic chemicals and drugs are usually, they change it a lot faster, and for the worst, probably more near permanent. and yet it's not supposed to be Panamate. These are things you can change. Financial status, I can't explain that very much, okay? Diurnal and seasonal correlations, yes, it can affect your genome. And this has been shown with people who actually live in, if you come from one place, and maybe people who have a condition called rhinitis, is it rhinitis? They always constantly have a problem with their nose and upper respiratory tract infections, and their gene expression can be changed permanently. If they are in cold areas, then it affects them permanently. They're forever going to be sneezing and sniffing. But it's been found that if they actually go and live in a warm place, and with time, their gene expression changes and they're normal. They do not suffer that condition at all. So even the climate makes a difference. And then, of course, we've talked about psychological states, and a lot of studies have been done on children. And then therapeutic drugs, therapeutic drugs. This is what was very interesting to me as well. You can see this bottle. I collect these drugs from my patients. So you find that somebody takes 3 tablets every day, maybe because they have a headache. And then they're not going to treat, to assess the underlying problem. Why do you have a headache? And then they're taking 3 tablets every day. That means in a month, that is 3 times 30, that's 90 tablets every day. And then 90 tablets times 3 months, that is 270 tablets. And what I have here is about 600. So don't just be taking medication. Imagine you're constantly taking medicine 3 months only. That's enough to change your gene expressions. It's going to put off something because this is not natural. This is not natural. And then sometimes you're told, take drugs with a lot of water. You do not follow instructions. Take drugs on an empty stomach. Take drugs on a full stomach. You don't follow instructions. But most importantly, we know that if you're diabetic, if you're hypertensive, and you have to take all this chronic medication, then you actually need to work very hard to reduce the dosage of medications you're taking, because studies have shown that it is going to change your gene expression. Remember, it's either going to switch it off for the worst or switch it on for the better, but the drugs, they switch it off. They switch off the gene expression, so meaning it is for the worst. So if you had a gene, if your genes would protect you from cancer, then these therapeutic medications would switch it off, so you're no longer protected from cancer or chronic conditions. So work hard so that you do not constantly need to take medication by eating healthy. I think this program has done well by making it consistent for you to enjoy your education sessions. And then alternative medicine. I work with a lot of diabetics, and every time people come and say, oh, they had an advert, if they take this, it's going to control their medication. Some of these things are just toxic chemicals, because we know that in nature, in plants, you will find healthy chemicals and you will find toxic chemicals. So don't just use this alternative medicine before really consulting a professional. Very, very important. We know we have the medical doctors, and then we have the people who do Ayurvedic, and they do natural medicine. They're all professionals. Please consult. Don't just get started. And of course, social interactions. But most importantly, your microbiome, microbiome. So how do you make sure that you have a healthy microbiome? This is like I don't know how to explain it. I'll find the word later. But how do you keep a healthy microbiome? Like, this is what you're made of, your body, your health, in short, your health, your biochemicals, your blood sugars, all the phytochemicals, all the healthy things that circulate in your body to make you healthy, all those chemicals, that's your microbiome, all of it put together. So, of course, is it healthy or not? But what happens if you eat the same type of food day in, day out? Every week you're eating, let's say, broccoli, you're eating your rice, and you're eating your chicken, and maybe you eat bananas, and that is what you eat day in, day out. Every week, that's what you eat. You don't change your vegetables, you don't change your carbohydrates, you don't change your fruit, you don't change everything. Then you have a healthy and an unhealthy microbiome, and that can also modulate your genes. So that's I think when I started the session, I said, next time we need to do something about microbiome. So that's what you're going to do another time. Okay, so I think I've spent a lot of time there. So let me ask all of us, or all of you who are listening to me, a question. So what do you think is your destiny? Is it your epigenetics, or is it your genes? If you've been listening, what do you think? And give me a simple explanation. I'm hearing people saying,
I think it is our epigenetics. It is, because the DNA is not constant. It changes the environment and expression of so many things in terms of your, how you think, the food you eat, the environment you live in, somehow.
And your movement, okay?
Yeah, your movement, yes.
Thank you very much. And so whose decision is it? Whose decision is it? Whose choice is it? Who makes the choice?
It is my decision. It is my decision. It is my decision. So which means I can make it well, I can make it worse.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you. Okay. Yes, doctor.
That's where I come in with my controversial side. So, yes,
go for it.
I agree with Eyabo about the fact that it is your choice. Of course, you have a lot of influence on that, but to a lesser extent, the environment, which is what you've been explaining to us. Because when I look at that cycle you have there, is a whole lot of factors in there. So yes, I agree. To a large extent, it is my choice. But then to a lesser extent, it is beyond me. And someone is coming. Michelle, 1 second before you come in. So the reason why I'm saying that is not just us, is that sometimes people, by virtue of no fault of yours, you might just find yourself living in an environment, air polluted environment, in a building where you have all these things that can influence, that can modulate your genes, and these would affect your genes. So in those instances, yes, there's something else that is adding on to your decisions to eat healthy or exercise. So I think it's complex. It's a whole lot of issues, but I'm not underplaying the role of the individual. I'm just trying to highlight the other stuff.
I agree with you. And you've also said to a lesser extent, okay? To a lesser extent. So even your environment, you can choose where to be. Remember, we also said your environment includes indoors and outdoors. So when you constantly choose to be indoors, you are making a bad choice, which could turn off your healthy gene expressions and turn on the bad things. Thank you. Michelle.
Michelle has.
Yeah, thank you, doctors. When Dr. Hibbah was just saying, actually, about the environment, and it just made me think, about the disadvantages a lot of people are facing. It's against their will that, the environment is poor. There's not much done to the land and around the environment. So it's not really their choice. But also, thank you so much for your presentation, Dr. Alice. It was absolutely amazing, mind-blowing, eye-opening, and just brilliant, actually. And one other thought that came to mind when you were speaking was around the COVID. And what, in your presentation, as you were saying that, our we can change our genetics through all the things we've just been discussing. Now, when COVID hit, the message, how it came out, was really fearful. It sent fear into millions of people, and their thoughts were obviously affected. People were living in fear. Now, in your explanation, I'm thinking, well, do you think that could have had an effect on the people who are still having physical symptoms, you know, based on that trauma, if you like, with the COVID? I know it's quite a funny topic, but myself, I did have that experience. I mean, I was working for the NHS as well, and, you know, had another experience of being forced to take the vaccine, or else I would have lost my job. They then dropped it. But, you know, there's all these pressures that were happening mentally through the message, what the government, how it was being portrayed, you know, given, and obviously a lot of dilemma and mistakes that happened. So I'm just thinking that mental pressure, you know, based on your presentation, and that people are still suffering from COVID. Could it be the mental side having an effect on the physical? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. So of course, the studies have shown that your thought processes actually can change your gene expressions. And so if you dwell on it for long, so if you, there were all those fearful information coming from COVID, and we dwelt on it, then it will change your gene expressions. And of course, because it is negative, so it's going to switch off the healthy gene expressions and switch on the negative gene expressions that will affect your health in the long run. But for gene studies, studies have shown that when you're exposed to disease, it actually changes your DNA. But what I talked about COVID, I was actually just having a conversation with a doctor, because I was preparing for, I've been thinking about this for the last 2 weeks. And then I asked him, because I'd done some reading, and then he says, yeah. And he gave me the example of the patient who now has a new problem because of exposure to COVID, you know, yes. And so the same thing is if you're exposed to your environment, you know, so it will change. So what I would like us to take home is your gene expressions will change. I still have a few slides. So let's just finish it.
Yes. And Alice, Hazel's hand has been up for a while. Can we just quickly listen to her, and then we can continue? Hazel, please, if you could make it a bit snappy. Yeah.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Dr. Alice, how you explain it, I come to the conclusion that it's our epigenetics which deals with the way how we consume food and all those things. But you mentioned about taking medication for headaches and so. As the normal layperson who are not medically trained, if we go now and tell our doctors, some of the GPs, that we do not want to take these medications, we might be deemed as arrogant. That's the medical part. Then on the financial side, with the cost of living, if you haven't got enough money to buy the foods that is needed for us, it could cause another problem with your intake of what you should eat. And psychologically, like what many people have mentioned, if your state of mind is not correct, if you haven't got a job and trying to find a job, that could also affect your genes and all those things. Your understanding, your process begin to become weak and weary, you know, where you're going, where you're gonna find all these jobs. So yes, and then the environment, that diagram that you shows. What about people who are you're saying about in the home, constantly in war and not able to go places to get the correct food, that they balanced diet. They have to be constantly moving here and there. All these things could affect. So I don't come to the conclusion it's not the DNA, it's the epigenetics.
Thank you. Very well explained. Thank you. You got it. So I don't need to say anything, but maybe I want to make a comment on something you said about not taking your drugs. You know, you're being treated for something. You're being treated either for blood pressure or you're being treated for diabetes. And so you have to take the drugs to control that, because sometimes this medication it actually prevents you from getting strokes and complications. But now, to reduce the number of medications that you're eating, you need to eat healthy so that you can switch on the good gene expression so that it can protect you. And then you reduce the dosage of medication you're taking so it doesn't cause a new problem. So remember the epigenetics, you can switch it on, switch off, and so it's not permanent. So it's whatever you choose to do. So do not tell the doctor I'm not taking medication, because medication is a protection. But if you learn how to monitor your blood pressure and how to monitor your blood sugar, and sometimes people are, because they monitor and they know the numbers, they have actually found that they're either being overdosed or underdosed. So keep a good record so that you can have a healthy discussion with your doctor. So let's talk about just some of this quickly. Mouthful. So if we eat excess carbohydrates, what happens to your gene expressions? This is what I like. I like this carbohydrate business, and this is what I'm doing for the next few years of my life. If you see, your stomach releases a hydrochloric acid for digestion.
Yeah.
So that's natural process. So if you take a lot of carbohydrates, like your carbohydrates are always a lot, including juices and sugar, then your eyes start to produce hydrochloric acid. And that means you will have irritated eye, your eyes will sick, you will get glasses, and nobody ever thinks that it is diet that's causing the problem, that it is the gene expression that the body that has changed. So please be aware, if you take a lot of carbohydrates, your eyes are sick, you need to change your diet. And this is one example of gene expression that has been proven and has been also done with adults. How about protein? When you take a lot of protein in your diet, unfortunately, when you live in countries that are developed, let's say like where you are right now, there's a lot of antibiotics and maybe growth hormones that find their way into the food system, because the animals are given estrogen to, to make them grow bigger. And so when you eat a lot of protein, you tend to get a lot of estrogen. And this study was done in Europe and America, where they found that, so what it does, of course, your estrogen from the protein attaches itself to the natural estrogen. So when the women are in their periods, the usually because of lack of pregnancy, first of all, the body goes through that process, and then it thinks that you're going to get pregnant, and then it prepares the womb, so there is thickening of the womb. And what happens is when there's no conception, and then you shed that womb, that because that that thickening comes off, and that's your periods, okay? But what happens when you take a lot of protein, and especially processed, the womb actually thickens a lot more, and then it starts to produce a lot of chemicals that causes a lot of period pains. So it's been found that women who take a lot of protein in their diet, they will get a lot of protein pains, and this is consistent. So then you will say, excuse me, it's our family, my mother was like that, my dad was like, but that is because sometimes you live in the same house, you eat the same way. Okay. And so what has been shown is that evidence that is showing that studies where they removed animal protein from the women who had severe menstrual cramp, they removed the animal proteins, put them on plant vegetables only, any animal protein, remove milk, remove meat, chicken, fish, anything. And then they were fine. And the thickening was a lot smaller, and there was no extra chemicals that were produced, and they had normal periods without pain, just the mild pain that is expected from a contraction. And fats and added sugars is the same as carbohydrate. Fats, if you take a lot of fats, especially men, it's been shown to actually interfere with your turn off the gene that helps to keep your blood vessels in your penis extremely healthy. And so if they take a lot of fat in their diet, they find that the men they will get high cholesterol, but the clogging will happen a lot in the penis. So then they end up having erectile dysfunction. And the erectile dysfunction, they think probably it's anxiety or stress or what, but it will be because they take a lot of fat. So some gene is turned off, and so they can no longer have a healthy blood vessel, improved blood circulation, because the penis needs a lot of blood circulation, especially when they need to be in action. And this is just in short to tell you, when you eat and you don't manage your diet, then you're going to change your genes for the worst. Okay, so slides not moving. So we've discussed that physical activity, circadian rhythm. This is what I'm reading now more about sleep. I want to understand it. It's been found that children, they need to have their sleep, and children are supposed to sleep. As they get older, they'll eventually sleep 8 hours. But before they even get to 4, 5, they should be sleeping like even 14 hours, you know. And so if the children don't go to sleep on time, then their brain is not going to develop accordingly. So that's to do with development. But for gene expressions, I'm yet to get something about sleep. But it's obvious, you don't rest, the body does not go through the natural processes of rejuvenation at night, and it messes up a lot of things. And remember, circadian rhythm is the clock in every cell that determines the whole body processes. And so if it is not consistent, if you don't have that day and night clock, then it impacts your health. So genes load the gun, but your lifestyle pulls the trigger. I think now we are going to change it that your epigenetics pulls the trigger. Thank you very much.
I realize how much we've missed you on here. Lots of comments in the chat box about how much we still don't know a lot, you know. Eyabo says revelations of things many are not aware. Now, let's open the floor for some questions. Okay, so there's a question about multivitamins. You know, please, you want to address that? I was really happy you came back to address the issue of taking medication, because I don't want people leaving this session thinking that you're saying people shouldn't take medication. No. And you already clarified that. Please, if you are sick and your GPs give you medication, you have to take those medication. But this is not on general medication. There's a question on multivitamins, daily intake of multivitamins.
Yes, it is harmful to take vitamins daily. And I will say, what type of vitamins are you taking? If you're taking a vitamin C, that's not bad. If you're taking a fiber supplement, that's not bad, okay? But if you take a multivitamin with extra iron, or with iron, you know, the iron, when you have excess circulation of iron, the host, you need the iron, but the bacteria or anything that's lacking behind in the system also needs that iron. So if you have cancer, it is going to grow rapidly. So when you're taking multivitamins, ensure that it does not have iron in it. Secondly, zinc. Zinc binds iron, by the way. And people take multivitamin, they take zinc because of hair and skin and things like that. No. So when you take zinc, you should take like maybe 5 milligrams a day if you're taking a multivitamin, but sometimes the multivitamins are high in zinc. So you're having like 15 and above milligrams a day. So zinc binds iron. That means it's going to bind all your circulating iron. And so you're going to end up being iron deficiency. You'll get iron deficiency anemia. And because you're not going to say that you're taking vitamins and the doctor will not suspect that, you're going to constantly have this problem for a very long time. So please, if I was to prescribe a vitamin, I would give you a vitamin C every day. If you're sick and recovering from illness, I will give you vitamin for the time that you're recovering from, a multivitamin for the time you're recovering from illness, because your needs are always high. But I personally, as a lifestyle activist who wants you to eat your whole natural food, I do not prescribe vitamins. I don't. I'm always fighting with the patients. Only the pregnant woman will need one to take in their pregnancy until they stop breastfeeding. And that's also to make sure they have sufficient. Yes.
Okay. Can I just add to it? So
yes,
in
please.
UK, there's a recommendation for us, especially Black people, to take the vitamin D supplement for obvious reasons. You know, we don't get the sunlight and all of that. So just to add to it, you usually, you know, let it do the assessment. Let your GP tell you that you are deficient in a particular nutrient. Then that comes into. But what Alice is saying is that a lot of the times, most of us just go to the pharmacy shop and just take all sorts of, you know, multivitamins, so many of them just because we want beautiful hair. That is something we don't recommend. But I just wanted to clarify, because some people would say that, but here we are supposed to take our vitamin D. That is a recommendation for us. So that's different. And if the recommendations do change, then we change accordingly. For now, we are taking vitamin D on a daily basis. Yeah. Okay, Jedi, I hope that answers your question. Maybe that's why you were saying that's interesting.
Yeah, I just wanted to check if the multivitamins are organic from plant sources. Can you take it daily?
Alice, before you come in, I know Jedi. So, you know, we tend to promote a whole food approach. You know, so we want to first of all encourage people to use their food. You know, unless you have any peculiar reason from your GP, what we propose here is to have, you know, your colors. And if you're having your fruits and vegetables and you're having the variety, then you shouldn't be going to look for multivitamins every day to supplement your nutrients. So unless there's a peculiar situation in which I would now throw it to Alice, we want people to use their foods. You know, have more fruits and vegetables, at different colors. And then let it be that you've been diagnosed of having a deficiency in a particular micronutrient. At that point, then you can say, okay, for this period, my GP says I should take this multivitamin. But we don't want it to be a lifestyle that for the rest of your life, as young as you are, you want to take multivitamins till, you know, whenever. Dr. Ojwang, back to you.
So she said that you said that if it is what she said, if it's
organic and it's from plant source,
organic, yeah. Can I take it? I'll tell you something, my friend. When God created the apple, where is my apple here? Okay, it came like that. Let me get it from behind the screen here. So let's say this is an orange. Can you see it?
Yeah, we can see it now.
If this was created like this, okay? And so you're supposed to eat the orange. You're not even supposed to put it in a blender and make juice out of it. For it to remain stable, so you can absorb the nutrients, and your body has been made to really absorb it and utilize it and improve your gene expressions. Because the person who created you created this. Now, what man has made is completely different. So there's nothing like, what did you call it? Organic. There's nothing like organic. It's no longer in the fruit. It's been taken off the fruit to be made into a multivitamin. It cannot be healthier than this at all. So there's nothing like, if it's organic, should you take it? There's nothing like organic if it is in the shelf. It's organic if it's coming from the garden. And it seems like I've influenced Hibbah. Nature. In fact, I was praying one day and telling Jehovah, did I have to go do a PhD for me to appreciate nature? Because the kind of reading you do, you realize that even as scientists, we just struggle. But your medicine is thy food, and thy food is thy medicine. Indeed. And you've been there. We've done the DTLC, the Sahara TLC. If those who eat healthy, what happened? People who are suffering from fatigue, depression, many things. All we taught people is how to eat healthy, and they changed, and people are healthier and happier. So that's what we encourage you. Spend more time eating variety of food, and spend less time trying to find a multivitamin to replace what you're not eating. Thank you.
There's a question from YouTube. What advice can you give me with regards to taking, Alice, please look at it, some medication in there. Then there was another one. There are a few more questions, and then we can wrap the session.
Okay. Wait, where is it? Up there somewhere?
Where is it again? Yeah, just the last but 2 comments.
Can Alice elaborate on the point of thoughts? Can a positive mindset affirmations improve your genes expression? Yes. Yes, science has done that a lot, and it's been studied mostly with children, and children who came from families where there were abusive parents, and then they were taken to a different environment where they were taught to love and affection and, music and, I love you, affirmations. They ended up doing very, very well and really becoming the happy person that they needed to become. And if that's not taken care of, then yes. So even as an adult, when you go through life's troubles, you lose a parent and you go through breakup and you have all these things, and you keep dwelling on the pain, the psychologists say you're holding on to the pain, it will change your gene expressions. You become more depressed, you're always tired and fatigued, and you guys know it, I don't even have to say it. You start losing your mind, meaning your concentration is low, you're less productive as you are, you're less happy than you are, and people just deteriorate and simply die. So yes, you need to go on to positive mind, daily affirmations, and read your Bible, or something like that. So yes, that has been widely studied as compared to food and other things. Yes, thank you.
There's another question in there.
You said from YouTube. I haven't seen it.
Yes. What advice can you, I think it was sent to me privately, sorry. What advice can you give with regards to taking 5 milligrams of amlodipine tablets for high blood pressure, together with what else should be looked after?
Okay, so this is a hypertensive person seeking advice. So remember, when you're put on medication for hypertension, it's because it's a protection. If your blood pressure is very high and you're not on medication, it can cause a stroke, it can destroy your kidney, destroy your heart. And so you need to be taking the medication. What is important for you is to find out what else can you do to improve your blood pressure. Like people with hypertension should not eat meat at night. You should exercise regularly. You should take a lot of fruits and vegetables in your diet, And so then you also need to monitor your blood pressure. If your blood pressure is always 130/80 and you're on medication, that shows that you're in good control. If you're on medication and it starts going to 110/70, 110/60, that means then the doctor needs to consider reducing the medication, but don't do it alone. Do your blood pressures, keep a record, and then go to the doctor with your data. This is my blood pressure. If you're on medication and your blood pressure, you're still getting 140, 100, your diastolic is 100, then that means it's not controlled. So you need to put medication, lifestyle, physical activity, and things like that together. And of course, the mind, the mouthful, the movement, and the thought process. Thanks.
Okay, there are 4 more questions, but unfortunately, our time is up. Clearly, I think, sorry, I might have to bring you back next month for you to just do a question and answer session. And if only, sorry, I could save these, I'll try and keep a note of these questions so that we can address these questions during that question and answer session. So apologies, we can't go through all these questions because we have to move on to the next one. So next month, next week, I'm traveling with Dr. Alice, so we can't be here ourselves, but there'll be another session next week. Oh, next week is an interesting session, Pot Belly, by Alistair Kumi, talking to how males, what to know about pot belly among males. So please don't miss it. Get your husbands, your brothers, your sons to join. But when we come back, we are going to have a question and answer session. We will start with these questions on here. So your parting shot, we've already taken a minute of Orlando's time, please.
Genes load the gun and your lifestyle pulls the trigger. So please note, what lifestyle are you making a choice of? Is it healthy or not? That is what I can say for today. So your genes load the gun, but your epigenetics pulls the trigger. So change it so that it's not pulling the trigger. Thank you
so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Ojwang. That was a fantastic presentation. Michelle, did you have just, because I see your hand. Okay, please speak before I go. Your hand is up. Yes.
No. I just want to say thank you so much. I pressed the wrong button. I'm actually driving now. I'm gutted I can't do a London's session. But thank you, Dr. Alice, and I will definitely tell my brother who has a pot belly to come next
to join.
Week.
Please. Thank you. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you.
for the
Bye.
engagement. And
Thank you,
yes,
Dr. Alice.
yeah,
It's
thank
great.
you. And please remember, she talked about physical activity and exercises, also very important for today's topic. Join in, don't jump off, join in, and let's follow the session by Orlando. Thank you, everyone, and see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hibbah, Dr. Alice, and Michelle for that amazing seminar. Everybody stay there, don't go anywhere.
Thank you, Orlando. I'm right here, I'm changing.
Now it's time.
So I can dance with you, okay.
You've danced with me, okay, cool. So now it's time for the exercise portion of today's session. As promised, we've got another intermediate to advanced boxercise workout coming your way. For today's session, all you'll need is plenty of space. Let me just straighten this camera. Plenty of space, plenty of water or a towel, and just a good fighting spirit. All right, so let's get into a warm-up. We're gonna start off nice and easy. We're gonna throw some lefts and rights. So we're gonna throw some straights. So left, right, left, right. If you're left-handed, then it's gonna be right, left, just for 30 seconds to get into it. All right, people, let's get busy, let's get busy. Let me turn my tunes up. 30 seconds of straight. So straight, get ready in 3, 2, 1, let's go. Straight. Warm the body up, warm the shoulders up. Keep it nice and light to start off. 3, 2, 1, let's go to our shuttle skip now, let's go. Make sure you swing in the wrist well. Replicate that skipping motion. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Single overcross. Start with the right side. So turn overcross. And it's the third time. Okay, give yourself 15 seconds, catch your breath, and then we're going to go straight back into the water. Okay, people, let's get busy. Let's get back into it now. So next move, we've got squat and reach. So we're going to squat down nice and low, touch the floor. I'm going to reach up nice and high. Okay, get ready. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Squat and reach. Lunges, lunge down, twist the hips both sides. Come up, change legs. Let's go. You're not going, people. 3, 2, 1. Last one. Finish with the shadow skip. 30 seconds. Keep that going, people. 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1. That's time. Okay. Take a 20-second break, and we're going to get into round number 1. Well done. Okay, people, join me back in the ring. Let's go. Game time now. All right, so round number 1, we have a combination round. Right, we're really going to let those hands fly. So start off with nice and easy. In our guard here, it's going to be double jab, cross, jab, cross. 5 punches. Watch again in your guard. Double jab, bring it back, snap it out. Cross, jab, cross, nice and quick at the end. One more time. Double jab, cross, jab, cross. We're going to go there for 60 seconds, and then we're going to add some punches to it. All right, people, let's go. Round number 1, combination round, game time. Come on. Let's get ready. First 60 seconds, double jab, cross, jab, cross. Get ready. 3, 2, 1, go. Jab, cross, jab, cross. Jab, cross, jab, cross. Cross, cross. Go, people. Halfway. "20 seconds, people. Keep putting it together now. Come on. "10 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Pause the clock. Okay. So let's add to it now. So after that last cross, I need a left uppercut, right uppercut. There's some people that are right-handed dominant, okay? So, jab, cross, okay, jab, jab, cross, uppercut, uppercut. That's your second minute. Let's get ready. 3, 2, 1, go. Stop. Let's go, people. Nice and snappy, people. Nice and snappy. Ten seconds. Whoa. Okay, let's pause it again. So let's add another 2 punches. Okay, so to that last right uppercut, we're gonna go again. Left, right uppercut. So watch it all together now. Double jab, cross, and we're here for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go. Last minute now. 3, 2, 1. Go. That's it, people. Keep working through it now. Keep going. Twenty seconds to go. Keep it going, mate. Come on. 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1. That's time, people. Well done. Back to your corners for a quick 45-second water break. And then we're going to go straight into round 2. Well done.
Dear God. Oh God.
15 seconds, people. Okay, listen in. Let's go. Back in the ring now. All right, so next round, we've got a pyramid round. Okay, pyramid round. We're going to put a little bit of conditioning in there as well. So a bit of cardio. So pyramid and cardio. All right, so first minute. Okay, we're going to go here. We're going to go up in 2s. So we're going to start with 2 straights for speed. Then 4 straights for speed. Really snap those punches out there. Then we'll go 6, 8, 10. Once you've hit 10, I need 10 star jumps, nice and quick. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 10. Once you hit 10, you go back into your straights. So remember, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Then I need 10 star jumps, nice and quick. That's your first minute, people. Let's get busy now. Come on. Let's take this back now. Number 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 10 starting. Let's get ready. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Once you put it 10, straight back to your punches. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Keep working. 20 seconds to go. Three, 2, 1. Let's pause the clock. Okay, let's switch up a little bit now. So now we've got uppercuts for speed. So start with 2, then 4. Again, up to 10. Once you hit 10, I need 10 skips. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 10. and straight back to your uppercuts. Let's go. Second minute. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Let's go, people. Halfway, you go. Time. Stop the clock right there. Okay, for your last minute, we're going back to the straights. Okay, back to the straights. Let's get ready now, people. So remember, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and then 10 start. Let's get ready now. 3, 2, 1, go. Let's go. Come on. Come on. Quick 45-second water break, and we're going to go into our third and final round. Right there. "15 seconds, people, then we are back in the ring." Okay, people, back involved now. Last round coming up. Let's go. So last round, you have a leg round. Okay, we're hitting the legs. All right, so watch the combo. We're going to repeat this combo 5 times. So watch here now. Jab, cross, uppercut, cross. Nice and easy. Watch again. Jab, cross, uppercut, cross. We're going to do that combo 5 times. Then I need 2 forward lunges. 2 forward lunges, and then 2 squat jumps. Okay? If the squat jumps are too much for you, then you can go normal body weight squats without the jump. So just here. Okay? So watch again. Watch the combo again. Cross, uppercut, cross. That's 1 time. Cross, uppercut, cross. 2 times. We're going to do that 5 times, and I need 2 lunges. 2 jump squats or normal squats. Last round, people. Let's get busy. Come on. Let's get busy. Okay, get ready. So start the combos in 3, 2, 1, go. 4. Go, people. 5 of these. Four. Let's go. 16 seconds gone. Keep working through it. Come on. Working 5 sets to combo, 2 forward lunges, 2 structure. Let's go. That's halfway. People keep working. Let's go. "60 seconds left, people. Come on now. That's 40 seconds. Come on, people. Keep working now, baby. Come on. "15 seconds. Two, 1. And that's time, my people. Well done. Okay, take a quick 20-second wall break, and then we're going to stretch off. Well done. Okay, people, back to your spaces. Let's stretch off. All right, let's start with the neck. So I put our neck side to the side like so. Let's go. Okay, ear to shoulder, reach across with the opposite arm. So we'll go here, reach across, other side, reach across. Reach across. 2 more. Let's go to the hips. Big rotations in the hips. Or each way. That's 3. 1 more. Let's change direction for 4. Okay, let's hit the quads. Your knees together. Bring your heel to your bone. If you've got subpar balance like myself, hold on to something sturdy. Change legs. Shake that all off. And now it's time, people. Give yourself a round of applause and a pat on the back. Well done. Shikani, are you back in the house? Are you around?
I'm here, Orlando. Amazing, amazing workout. Anyone who took part, if you want to let us know how you found it, just use the chat box. If you're on YouTube, Facebook, let us know as well. We'd love to hear from you. And Orlando, what can we be expecting for next week?
So next week we have our last box exercise session, and then we're going to get into more body focus work with some circuits. So yeah,
Nice.
Again, an intermediate advanced session. So yeah, just thank you for everybody that's tuning in so far, whether it be via Zoom, Facebook, YouTube. And I hope you're getting value out of it, and I hope you are changing both body and mind.
Amazing. Yeah, we do appreciate all your participation and also in the session before. So thank you, Orlando, for that workout. And thank you to Dr. Hibbah and Dr. Alice again for the talk we had about epigenetics before. Dr. Alice did mention that next week's topic is pot bellies among males. Orlando, back to you. What's your take on that topic?
A lot of people like to live a sedentary lifestyle. Unfortunately, for guys, a lot of the bodies go to our stomach. So it'd be a really good topic, really interesting topic for people to listen to. Hopefully, we'll get people tuned into Healthy Hearts. More making healthy changes, lifestyle changes.
It is.
I was laughing a little bit. It's funny.
Yeah, it's so important, like you said, to make those healthy changes. And also, if you guys have any questions from today, please let us know. You can email us at health@khan and we will get back to you. And for now, that's it, everyone. Thank you guys for joining. We'll see you guys next week from 6 p.m. Take care, everyone.
Rest up.
Bye.
See you next week. Peace.